everybody! As you can hear from the noise, which for me is actually music, on track in Italy, in Franciacorta, because today I've been invited to try the new Yamaha R1 2020. As you probably saw from the previous video, I already tested it in Mugello, but I tested the standard version, while today I will test the R1M. And this is a special day because Yamaha invited the owner of Yamaha R1 for a test today to test the new 2020. And I will be riding with them and I will have the chance to ride it all the day. So in this video you're gonna see a complete review of the new features of the Yamaha R1 2020. The 2020 R1 has a brand new electronic. And I'm not talking only about software, but I'm talking about hardware as well. The 2020 has a brand new ECU. And what does it mean? Let's take, for example, your computer, okay? So after a few years, when you change your laptop, the new laptop is usually faster. It runs better. And here it's the same. So while you're riding, the ECU receives the input from the sensors. It elaborates the inputs and then decides whether to take some action or not. So if the ECU is faster, the response that you have is faster. So having a more powerful ECU means a better and faster electronics. And in order to understand the load that the ECU has, normally on this motorbike, it analyzes the data from the sensor 125 times per second. And that's a lot. And obviously, when you talk about electronics, we talk about software. So in this motorbike, the dashboard has a brand new software, which has been updated to allow you to modify two new parameters. So now you're able to modify the engine brake and you have 3 different maps. And you can also modify the ABS. You have 2 different settings. On setting 1, you have the standard ABS. On setting 2, you have a dynamic ABS, which dynamically changes the brake pressure when you start leaning. So if you keep constant pressure and you start to lean, the ECU releases a little bit the brake pressure. And one nice feature that I don't know if you have ever seen is this special wheel with those kind of flaps which works like a fan, which is used to cool the rear brake. And it's not new, and it was there also in 2019. Another very important feature is here in the throttle, because now you have the ride-by-wire. In 2019, there was a wire, a physical wire, which did not directly accelerate, but which was commanded by the electronic. Now you have 100% pure ride-by-wire system. So this means that now when you accelerate, there is not a physical wire, but there is a sensor here. Obviously, inside you have a physical spring that gives you the same sensation as a classic accelerator. Another difference that it's easy to see about aesthetics are the new fairings. And as you can see, they're totally different from the 2019, but it's not just an aesthetic difference, it's a technical difference, because now the aerodynamic was improved by 5.3%. Also, the brakes and suspension has been modified, and now you have a new Kayaba on the standard R1, and you also have some new brake pads. Obviously, it follows the new rules about emissions, and inside the exhaust you have 4 catalyzers, which make the bike follow the Euro 5 rules. Another important upgrade that for me, that I use this bike to race, is very useful, is in the rear. Now you can have a bike 1 centimeter longer, which allows you to reduce the wheeling. And for those who race and always fight against the front wheel always up, it's quite useful. Last but not least, the engine. They have made a lot of modification inside the engine, which made it more powerful and efficient and performing. For example, they changed the air intakes, the camshaft, the rocker arms and the injection in order to improve the performance at high RPMs. And they also changed the cooling and the whole lubrication system. And if you look at the technical sheet, you may say, okay, but they changed a lot, but the power is the same because it has the same horsepower than 2019. Well, actually, now this is Euro 5, so it has more catalyzers and more limitations. So this means that if the power is the same with more limitations, the engine is more powerful than the old one. So this means that if you remove all the limitations and transform it from street to race, it should have more power. previous videos, I tested the basic 2020 at Mugello, and today I'm testing the M version, the R1M. And what are the differences? Well, basically this is the same motorbike, except for three things. The first one is the fairings, which here are full carbon. The second one is here. I don't know if you recognize it. I have it on my race bike. This is the GPS sensor that allows you to record all the GPS data. This means that in the dashboard you can record many more data of your sessions, including the lap time, which allows you to monitor your performance much better. But the most important thing is about suspensions. On the standard version you have the Kayaba, while here you have the Öhlins NPS pressurized electronic suspensions. And what does electronic means? You understand we're talking about electronic suspension because you see this wire coming out of the suspension, which allows you to modify the suspensions directly from the dashboard or from the smartphone app instead of using your screwdriver to change the clicks. And it also allows you to dynamically modify the suspensions while you're riding. So you have an algorithm that analyzes the input from the sensors and modifies the behavior during your ride. And here comes the question, why do I use the standard suspensions and not the electronic ones on my race motorbike? That's mainly because of weight. You know, in racing, you try to remove as much weight as you can, and the system is a little bit heavier. And the second reason is that usually the riders do not like a dynamic behavior, but they want to feel always the same behavior on the motorbike when you're riding. So for amateurs, this is great. This is a great system because it helps a lot. But when you wanna look for the limit, you usually go with standard suspensions.
Okay, so full gas with the R1M. I'm gonna tell you how it feels. It feels great. The shifter is awesome. You don't need to use the clutch. You have the electronic shifter and the blipper. And the cool thing is that the gears go in pretty smooth. You don't even feel the bike shifting. It's truly amazing. Really, I love it. And the nice thing is that compared to my racing bike, this is more gentle, more smooth to ride, even if it's still faster. And the handling is great. Look, elbow down here. But it's a smooth. You don't get exhausted after 2 laps, but you can enjoy your whole session without feeling devastated. And that's great, because for the amateurs like me, it's great to be able to use your whole track day. And another cool thing is the electronic. The slide control system works great. See, when you're cornering and you start to accelerate, you feel the rear drifting a little bit, but it's controlled. You don't do a high side. You feel the front counter steering a little bit, but the electronic keeps the rear tire there. And it's amazing because even if you're an amateur, you're gonna feel like a pro. Drifting! And one amazing thing is braking. Even if I have the ABS active, which on the previous bike you felt it working a lot, here you don't really feel it. You feel like you don't have it.
Allora com'è sta R1M?
Più potente, più precisa, anche se l'impostazione del motore non era nemmeno all'1, era al 2.
Bomba!
A differenza della mia 2018, i controlli di trazione e antipennate è molto diverso.
Tutta un'altra cosa, specialmente il cambio scalata è una figata.
Mi sono perso la saponetta al terzo giro. No, però bella. Io ho la 2019, bella, meglio questa.
Bella, bella. C'è qualcosa di differenza da quella vecchia a questa.
Cosa?
C'è qualcosa di ripresa, come spunta va molto più bello. E anche come ammortizzatori sembra un pelino in più di quella del 2018.
Ok raga, allora oggi voglio fare una comparativa. Dopo che vi ho raccontato la M, vi racconto la standard, però mi sono fatto dare una 19 e una 20. Quindi farò qualche giro con la 19 per ricordarmi un po' com'è e poi farò qualche giro con la 20 standard per vedere le differenze che sento. Le gomme sono uguali, l'elettronica è settata identica. Oh yeah! Partiamo con la 19. Ok, ho ripreso un attimo. Feeling con la 19, adesso provo la 20. Okay guys, now I'm riding with the 2020. First thing is that here you have the blipper, so you don't need to use the clutch when downshifting. And this is obviously a cool feature that I love. And what's pretty cool is that comparing to the 2019, you really don't feel the bike shifting. The gears go in so smooth and it's amazing. It's like a toy for boys. And you know, if we talk about the electronic, considering that I am not a pro rider with 20 years of experience and 9 world championship, okay, and I am not a pro tester, I cannot feel those small tiny differences. But what I feel overall is the feeling, is the sensation that this bike is easier than the 2019. That's it. It's like, you know, it's like when you get off a bike, you go on another bike and you say, okay, I like this one much more. And that's exactly how I felt. As soon as I went on the 2020, I felt better. And this is the goal the designer and engineers need to reach. They don't need the final user to be able to feel the small differences and all the stuff. They need the final user to get on the bike and feel it easy to ride. And that is what they improved in the 2020.
I'm dead. I think I made like 90 laps. I didn't want to stop. I was having so much fun that I made the whole afternoon straight. I stopped just for refueling, for drinking, and then boom, back on track. By the way, it was nice to try both versions, the old one and the new one, plus the M version. And as you already saw in the video, I felt some differences, which basically translates in an easier motorbike, a more fun to ride motorbike. I was impressed also by the ride-by-wire, because in the 2019, when you're leaning and you start to accelerate a little bit, you have to move it a little bit more. While in the new one, with the ride-by-wire, it's immediate. And it's kind of like more sensitive, more straightforward, more immediate. And I love the ride-by-wire. I didn't know there was so much difference. By the way, it was amazing to ride these motorbikes today. Thanks Yamaha, and thanks to all of you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe in order to let it grow, because a lot of new videos are coming here. Thanks for watching and see you next video. Bye bye.